Hello everybody, so this is Jacob Prasanna Kumar. So again I'm with another video on the subject of strength of materials. So this video is basically on shortcuts to draw shear force diagram and bending moment diagram. So you all know that it is little bit difficult to draw the shear force diagram or bending moment diagram for any loading case in a conventional way for every time. That means for every loading case it becomes very difficult to draw in a conventional way. So ultimately we need some shortcuts. Because of shortcuts only we can solve the questions faster and get the marks in a more easier way. So many people actually are not clear with the shortcuts. In fact, they don't know how many shortcuts are there, and many people ignore the shortcuts and prepare in a conventional way. So anyways, everybody will be doing some sort of mistake. So in this video, I'm going to clearly cover up all the shortcuts which are required to solve a gate level question. So I am talking about a gate level question. So for solving a gate level question, so what sort of shortcuts you require? So I'm going to cover up all the shortcuts. So everybody should remember that these are all shortcuts only. So you should know the conventional way of solving it, because a question can come up. In fact, you can see the past recent years papers in which questions are there where no shortcut you can apply. You cannot apply, and you are actually supposed to go with the conventional method itself. So if you are clear with conventional method, then knowing these shortcuts will be an advantage to you. In fact, 50% questions can be solved using conventional way methods, and 50% of the questions can be solved of SFD BMD can be solved using these particular shortcuts here. So you should remember that you should remember that you cannot completely rely on shortcuts only and aim to get a rank below 1000, rank below 5000, etc. So to have a top gate rank, you should know the conventional way. Clear? So anyways, this video is concerned regarding only the shortcuts, so we'll be discussing regarding that. Now, shortcut number 1. You can see the statement on the screen. It is the shortcut for cantilever beams. So remember that it is valid for all the shortcuts. So first statement, it is regarding shear force. It's written that shear force at fixed support is equal to reaction force. Clear? So in fact, this is reaction force at the fixed support. Shear force at the fixed support is equal to reaction force. Second one is bending moment at the fixed support is equal to reaction moment. That means the reaction moment at the fixed support. This one basically it's a result. It's not a shortcut. Moreover, it's actually a result. If you draw shear force diagram, bending moment diagram for any sort of particular cantilever beam of any loading case, you're gonna observe that that means this particular statements are actually followed. Clear? So if you would like to have some more explanation, you can look here. If you have a cantilever beam like this, loaded in any way, that means load can be uniform distributed load, a point load, any loading case here. So if you draw the free body diagram for this particular cantilever beam, you will have R suffix X, you will have R suffix Y, and also reaction moment M naught. So this shortcut or this result says that the value of shear force at this location, okay, so value of shear force at this location is equal to Ry value. So at fixed support, V is equal to Ry value and bending moment value is equal to M naught. So this is shear force, this is bending moment. So if any question is coming on cantilever beams, so instead of going and drawing conventional drawing the shear force diagram or bending moment diagram in a conventional way, directly go with this result. You can save huge amount of time. Understand? Let's see a question from which you can understand the importance of this particular shortcut. Clear? Let's look onto the screen. You can see the question there. It's a question from 2015 GATE paper. A cantilever beam OP is connected to another beam PQ with a pin joint as shown in the figure. A load of 10 kN is applied at the midpoint of the PQ. The magnitude of bending moments in kilonewton meter at the fixed end O is. So you can see the diagram. So I am drawing the free body diagram for the members OP and PQ. So OP is a cantilever beam. So I am putting OX. We are having OY here. Reaction moment M naught here, and P is a joint, so I am putting P suffix Y. So reaction force will come action-reaction pace. So Py should come here like this. And here we have 10 kilonewton force. And we have Q, it is an upward direction, Q suffix Y. So this is 1 meter. And this is 0.5. This is also 0.5. And this length is given as 2 meters. They're asking about the bending moment at this location. So bending moment at this location is nothing but m naught based on the shortcut. So all we need to do is simply get the value of m naught, right? So let's get the value of m naught by using equilibrium equations. So if you write down equilibrium equations, net force in y direction is equal to 0. So for this case we'll get Oy plus Py is equal to 0. And here we have minus Py minus 10 plus Qy is equal to 0. Now let's take the moment. So we can take moment about P here, because at internal hinge, moment about the hinge is equal to 0. So if we take about this point, here we have Qy into 1 anti-clockwise. So about this point, Qy into 1 anti-clockwise. 10 into 0.5 clockwise is equal to 0. This implies your Qy value is equal to 5 kilonewton. You got the value of Qy as 5 kilonewton. So if you substitute here, you will get Py. So minus 10 plus 5. Py is equal to minus 10 plus 5. So this becomes minus 5. So implies your Py value is equal to minus 5 kilonewton. Understand? Let's write down the same moment equation about this point also. So this becomes, anyways, it is m suffix z is equal to 0. About this point, m anti-clockwise, m not anti-clockwise, Py into 2 anti-clockwise. So Py into 2 is equal to 0. You got the value of Py is equal to minus 5. So if you substitute in this one, this implies your m naught value is equal to 10 kilonewton meter. Once you got the value of m naught, you don't need to draw the bending moment diagram. If you are not knowing about the shortcut, then you might be forced to draw the conventional, follow the conventional method of drawing bending moment diagram. But eventually understand that this bending moment value at this location will be equal to m naught itself. So you should be a little bit careful regarding this value here. That means if you are going conventional method, you will be wasting your time. So kindly be careful regarding, or kindly remember this particular shortcut. Let's go into the other shortcuts. The next shortcut you can see on the screen. It's given that slope of bending moment diagram is equal to shear force at that location. It's given that slope of bending moment diagram, that means dm by dx is equal to shear force. So this is this particular statement. So it is very easy to apply. Clear? Anyways, it's also a result. Understand? So if you go through the derivations, you can understand that slope of the bending moment diagram will come out to be shear force value. Let's see a question and answer that. And let's go with the subsequent shortcuts. Okay? See this question on the screen. It's a question from GATE 2017. For a loaded cantilever beam of uniform cross section, the bending moment in Newton millimeters along the length is m of x is equal to 5x square plus 10x, where x is in millimeters measured from free end of the beam. The magnitude of shear force in the cross section at x is equal to 10 millimeters is. So they have given us the value of, or given the equation of bending moment and asking for shear force at a particular location. And in this question it's very much clearly given that force is having the units of Newton and distance is having the units of millimeters. Understood? So let's take the bending moment equation that's given as 5x square plus 10x. So m is equal to 5x square plus 10 into x. It is in Newton millimeters. Now, so here we have to get the value of shear force. So shear force at x is equal to 10 millimeters. So we know V is equal to dm by dx. So that becomes 10x plus 10. So this value at x is equal to 10 comes out to be 110 Newton. Because anyways, this particular distance in millimeters, you'll be getting the value of shear force equal to 110 Newton value, Newton here. if you don't know the shortcut, you will not be able to solve this question. So you should be knowing about the shortcut here. Understand? But regarding this result, many people don't know the limitations. Limitations in the sense to what extent is valid, for what extent it is not valid, and all these things. So that, or even those results or those things are actually depending upon the mathematical derivations. So we have to go to the background mathematical knowledge to have a clear knowledge about that. Okay, so let's go into that one. Now look here, let's go to the background mathematics. If you have a function y is equal to f of x, just like this, x. So y is equal to f of x function is like this. If you take any function y is equal to f of x at a location where it is having a maximum value or minimum value. So at the location where it is having its maximum value or minimum value, its slope should become 0. That is very much obvious for us. So dy by dx will be equal to 0 at any location. That means at these locations where it's having local maximum or local minimum, or even global maximum or global minimum. Understand? And other thing is, wherever it is, that means a corollary statement, wherever it is maximum, its slope should become 0. Understand? So the statement is, wherever the function is maximum, slope should become 0, but that doesn't mean that wherever slope is 0, it should be maximum only. Because it can be maximum, it can be minimum, it can be global maximum, global minimum, anything. So we have to remember that a function, if it is having a maximum value, means there the slope should become 0. So dy by dx is equal to 0 at f of x reaches maximum value. When f of x reaches maximum value, it's dy by dx or d of f of x by dx should become equal to 0. That's very much obvious for us. Okay. And other thing is, here this condition is actually valid only when wherever this function is actually valid, that means the range of the function, it should be continuous and differentiable. It should be continuous and differentiable throughout that range. If there is any discontinuity, etc., then this statement may not be fully correct. So you have to take by parts, like left of the continuity you have to do it separately, for right of continuity you have to do separately, and the mathematics extends. But we are not concerned regarding that. So just have to remember that wherever the function is maximum, slope should be 0. That's the first statement. Second statement is, wherever slope is 0, it doesn't mean that it should be maximum only. It can be maximum, minimum, global minimum, anything here. Okay. And third statement is, in that range, or it's actually a requirement that in that range, the function should be continuous and differentiable. So throughout the range, it should be continuous and differentiable. So this function, if you see, it is continuous and differentiable. So at every location, we can draw a tangent. That means differentiability here. Continuity means it's continuous. There is no discontinuity at all. Understand? And other thing which we have to keep in mind is here, wherever we are deciding that f of x is maximum, we are deciding algebraically. For example, if this value is 10, this value is minus 20, magnitude wise this may be higher, but in mathematics we take in an algebraic sense and we take positive values to be higher and negative values to be lesser. So we take 10 only to be the highest value. So whatever we are deciding here, f of x is maximum, is actually this one. Understand? We have to keep this thing in here. Now let's apply this mathematics into this our result. dm by dx is equal to v. So our particular from this particular mathematical result, we can easily say that wherever bending moment is maximum, shear force is equal to 0. But the condition is, first condition is, throughout the length, the function should be continuous and differentiable. For example, if you have simply supported beam having point load in the middle, so you'll be having P by 2 here, P by 2 here. For this, if you draw bending moment diagram, it will come like this. That means it is going to be sharp here at this location. So it is not at all differentiable at this location. So this particular theory may not be completely right here. That means you may not be having result that at this maximum value of bending moment, shear force value is equal to 0. If you draw the value of shear force, you will not be getting it equal to 0 here. That is the reason why this condition should be satisfied. So remember that if you want to have the location where bending moment to be maximum, where shear force is equal to 0, your bending moment diagram should be continuous and differentiable. Clear? That's the one thing. Second one is, whatever we are deciding maximum or minimum, it is algebraically. For example, if you take a cantilever beam, having a uniformly distributed load throughout the length like this, then if you draw the particular bending moment diagram, it will come like this. So if you look here, the bending moment value is, in terms of magnitude, this is higher. That means if you take m and this is x, so it will come out to be QL square by 2 minus. You can check it later. So it is QL square by 2. Okay, so algebraically speaking, highest value bending moment in this location is 0. All the values are negative, highest value is 0 here. So whatever you are going to get from this equation, that is this one, not this one. So this is the understanding which you have to keep, it is a knowledge which you have to keep in mind when you are going to deal with dm by dx is equal to v. If you simply follow that wherever slope of bending moment diagram is there, there is shear force value. So then there is no problem at all. Understand? Simply following the statement. But if you are using that shortcut that wherever bending moment value is maximum, shear force is equal to 0, you have to remember this background statement or background knowledge here. So your bending moment diagram should be continuous and differentiable, and whatever maximum value of bending moment you are going to get, that is algebraically highest, not in terms of magnitude. Understood? So kindly keep this thing in mind here. Let's go with the another shortcut. This third shortcut or the last one is basically a shortcut to draw shear force diagram. So where point loads are there. So if your beam is having only point loads, how can we draw the shear force diagram directly? We are going to learn from this particular shortcut here. Okay. So just briefly I will give you the proof, and based upon that I will give you the shortcut and we'll solve or we'll see some examples to understand how to use the particular method. Okay. Look here. If you have a beam like this, so it is beam length here, you take particular differential length of a beam, dx. So if we take the differential length of the beam, let's assume a point load P is acting. So this is the length of dx. So let's take shear force V and V plus V, V plus dV. Okay. V and V plus dV here. Now let's take the equilibrium equation and get the relation between dV or V and P here. So you'll get minus V minus P plus V plus dV is equal to 0. This implies your dV value is equal to P. So your dV value is equal to P. That means the meaning of this particular result is whenever a point load is acting on the beam, so because of point load, shear force changes and the change is equal to its magnitude. Shear force may increase or decrease basically. So here we have kept it as increasing here. As load is acting downward, it got dV as positive. If the load is acting upward, you'll get it as negative. So ultimately the thing is it's going to change. The shear force value going to change. So it will increase or decrease here. But that increase or decrease is equal to the magnitude of P. Let's apply the shortcut and solve some or see some examples. Okay. So everyone, So look here, plus plus minus plus minus. Now look here, from the shortcut we have understood that point load will give such a change of shear force. So point load magnitude is equal to change of shear force magnitude. That's we understand. But whether shear force will increase or decrease, we don't know. Understand? So look here everybody. If you are drawing shear force diagram from left side to right side of the beam, then upward acting point loads will give rise to negative change of shear force, and downward acting point loads will give rise to positive change of shear force. That means increase. In the same way, if you are drawing shear force diagram from right side to left side, upward acting forces will give rise to positive change of shear force, and downward acting point loads will give rise to negative change of shear force. Let's look into some examples to understand perfectly here. If you take a cantilever beam having a point load at the free end, cantilever the point at the free end. So what happens is basically, if you draw the this particular shear force diagram, so for this the free body diagram is like this. That means if you solve all the find out all the unknown reaction forces and all, you will get this value as P and this value as P into L. So this is x is equal to 0 and x is equal to L. So let's draw the shear force diagram. At this location, initially there is no shear force at all, 0. At this location, point load is acting upward. We are going from left to right. Upward point load will give rise to negative change of shear force. Initial value is 0, so change is equal to the value itself. So upward is minus, so minus P. So at this location, we have this particular shear force value is equal to minus P. Now, after P or after this corner, there is no point load at all, so there will be no change of shear force, because only point load will give us a shear force here. So this goes on like this. But exactly at L, you see downward force is acting. As you are going from left to right, downward force will give rise to positive change of shear force. So initially already some minus P is there, so dV value. But dV value is actually nothing but downward value, so it is acting P, so positive. So minus P plus P is equal to 0. This becomes like this. We got that means you will get the same answer if you are going in conventional method also. Let's go with another example. Let's take cantilever beam with point load in the middle. So this is L by 2, this is also L by 2. So if you draw the free body diagram, you will get like this. You have P upward, P downward, and P into L by 2 anti-clockwise. So this is L by 2 and this is also L by 2. Let's draw the shear force diagram. At x is equal to 0, this is the location here. So this is the value of x. P upward acting, negative change. So 0, dV is minus P. So minus P. Till L by 2 there is no change. Exactly at L by 2, P acting downward. So initial value is minus P. dV is P acting downward. It is plus P. So P plus, that means initial value V plus dV. From here to here, there is no change. That means there is no point load, there is no change, so you will get a horizontal line. Understood? This is how we have drawn the SFD here. Let's take another example to understand clearly. Simply supported beam having point load in the middle, W by 2, W by 2. So this is the value of the length x here. So if you draw the shear force diagram, V, x, 0, L by 2, L. At this location, W by 2 is upward, negative change. It goes on like this. Till this location, no change. At this location, W downward, positive. So minus W by 2 plus W. So this becomes W here. So till here there is no change. But here, W by 2 initially, but W by 2 upward, negative. 0. Negative, positive. Like this, if any loading case is given to you, where point loads are there, using this technique, you can simply draw the shear force diagram. Understood, everybody? So these are all the techniques which you should know. I think you might have surprised to see only 3 shortcuts are there basically. So, but as far as gate questions are concerned, these shortcuts, these 3 shortcuts will help you to solve all the questions. That means, apart from the questions which are supposed to solved by conventional way. So, instead of wasting your time on remaining other shortcuts, whichever are there, not necessary that much, still wasting your time, you can concentrate on these 3 shortcuts only and can solve all the previous gate questions, and also try and apply the shortcuts in test series questions and get good amount of practice, or do good amount of practice. Thank you, everybody. So I hope this video is very much helpful to you guys. Thank you.